talking to the witnesses, the gut feeling that we both got, and seeing that they don't want anything to do with this and shunned it, you can kind of draw your conclusion to that. Got a lot of these sightings lately, and what we saw that Mr. Dean took in Peter's last representation, I saw an object just like this that was hovering over that house. This object and another was seen just off the coast, off of Ocean City, back in May of 2010, on subsequent days, 2 different days, had 2 reports that came in. I should start with some information about me. I'm a licensed commercial pilot and familiar with aviation in general, says the reporter. The day in question, I was seated on a bench at the mini golf on 68th Street in Ocean City. Since I was not playing, I was looking around when I saw what I can only describe as a short vertical cylinder, dark, from time to time, slightly shiny. It appeared to be a good distance from me, but I could not make out its size. The object was behind a light pole on the location, which I used to as reference to its movements. The object's movements were so radical that as a pilot, I can say it was not a plane. It was way too stationary for that. It was not a helicopter, as it moved much too fast and with altitude changes that would not fit a rotorcraft flight characteristics at all. The object movements were similar to some insect, such as a hummingbird. And it moved super fast and changed directions. I wanted to make sure it was not an object attached to some form of line and just flopping in the wind. You see this right out over the water, looking across Coast Island. I ruled this out as it was not producing the same movements over time as such as an object normally does in my experience. Thanks to the light pole, I could have judged the speed of the object, but since I could not tell how far away it was, I could not triangulate this correctly. If it was just on the other side of the pole, it would have moved about 15 to 20 feet in maybe 1/10 of a second. It was 100 away anyway, but you get the point. I really could not say. I was able to observe this object stay roughly in the same area for about 12 minutes when it vanished. It did not fly away, it just disappeared. Another report, same thing. This happened in Assateague, about 5 miles to the south, the next day. The sky was cloudless and a deep blue with a steady 8 to 10 mile an hour wind from the south. I just set up my camp and was getting organized while I waited for my wife and son to join me from Glen Burnie. I noticed colorful kites aloft in the neighboring camp, doing loops, and watched them for a while. I first glanced out to the dunes facing east, listening to the constant crash of waves, when I noticed the object in the northeast sky, out over the shoreline. My first impression was that someone was flying a kite on the beach, but that thought quickly ended when I sensed the object moving slowly southward. Now the wind was out of the south, so it was moving towards the wind. I grabbed my field glasses from the truck, and the object, noted the object. It was slightly curved with both ends facing the Atlantic. It reminded me of a dark gray crayon with a blunt end. At this time, I became aware that the thing became straight looking, exactly like a crayon, then amazingly reversing its curve while still moving southward, always keeping the same end more or less in the same direction. After 5 minutes of not identifying the anomaly, I strutted across the loop to the nearest campsite and approached a gentleman talking to his wife. I handed him binoculars. He was from New Jersey, and asked him to take a look at it and see what he thought. After a moment, he was also astounded to witness such an unrecognizable whatever it was. We watched it together for a spell, and I returned to my site. Now the crayon was directly east, easily viewable by anyone looking to the ocean, and very bright and vivid with my trusty red. I later saw the object very small in the pictures. That estimated altitude was close to 4,000 to 5,000 feet. That's approximate, nothing compared to it. It was moving maybe 20 to 30 miles per hour. What a great day it was with all of my worldly experience this is an older gentleman, not being able to identify something I could see so clearly, left me bemused. Now we take a look up the East Coast to this, same day. Somerville, New Jersey. Police were flooded with phone calls this morning after residents reported seeing a large tube-like object fluttering through the sky. Police say they were swamped with phone calls after a flurry of callers reported to the radio station that a UFO was flying above the area. Residents then began calling the police department to report the object. I first noticed it when all of our mechanics at a car dealership started looking up at the sky. It looked like a big black strip fluttering in the wind, maybe a cylinder. The police authorities were not sure what the object was, but said it caused no problems other than tying up the police phone lines. We have no idea what it was, but it didn't cause any problems. We are under the impression that it might be a weather balloon or something like that. So, weather balloons are generally up in the tens of thousands of feet by the time they get towards the East Coast. They're nothing looking like that. They're large and silver, so they can be identified by aircraft and by the gun. Air traffic control at Morristown, New Jersey did not have any pilot reports of the object, nor did officials at an airport in Hunterville, Somerset Airport in Westminster, and Blairstown Airport in Warren County. That was, we had quite a few of these sightings back in May and June, up and down the East Coast. So, could you rule that out as being like a paraglider possibly? But our witnesses stated that they looked for strings attached to it, and it just vanished. One minute there, and 1 minute gone. So we got to keep an eye on this, and it's a remarkable resemblance to what Peter showed as well. This comes out of Carroll County. This was back October of 2009. A little bit hard to see on this photo, but there appears to be another similar tube. The husband and wife were at Bowers Farm, if anyone knows what that is, in Westminster, at about 4:30 at night when they went to photograph this bird. When they took the pictures home, they noticed that these objects, anywhere from 3 to 5, were in the video, or were in the picture. The witness did some investigating of his own, and estimated this to be about 1 mile away and about the size of a Greyhound bus. Apparently he has some physics knowledge and was able to try to determine that. So again, insect, there are 3 to 5 of them. We can see 2 clearly in these pictures. He describes this as being tube-like, about the size of a bus. I guess we're in the era of tubes this summer, because that's what everybody's saying. Some of you folks that may have come to our MUFON conference last month may remember some of these pictures. This is a picture taken with a deer camera out in Washington County in Boonesboro. This is in the morning, nothing to be seen there. 3:33 in the morning. And you can notice there's a creature. There's a raccoon standing there, 2 raccoons. When the thing snaps, it's shot. It's about 6 foot off the ground, the camera is. This was put up and submitted by a Department of Natural Resources park ranger. He's very familiar with that area. That's his beat if you go out in the area. We went back to the, September 18th. It was not a full moon that night. There were no air bases around that we could attribute to some kind of a landing light or something like that. But the object moves. You can see that's 331, 333, so it's definitely moving. And the deer standing there, none the worse for being swooped away or whatever it was. But that was it. Out of the photos that he collected that night, those 2 are the only ones showing that way.